may be multiple boxes. It may look overwhelming. It's your life. There is no degree of overwhelming when it comes to your life. Strengthen your mind. Be aware of it. That's the only way you're going to continue to grow.
Ask yourself a question. How often do you honestly think per day, I don't want to do this or I don't want to do that, about anything that pops up in your life? Throughout the day, if you find yourself saying, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, I often think that's probably the time. Excuse me, I'm still under the weather. This is ridiculous how sick I've been, but no excuses. Podcast must go on, so here I am. If you find that you're saying that about certain things throughout your day, if there's things that you can get rid of to eliminate that thought, well, let's say there's something that you have in your life that is something you can replace or remove. If there's something bothering you where every day you get to that point, you're like, I just really don't want to do this one thing, or I don't want to talk to this person, or just, I really don't like my car, I really don't like my job. There's nothing saying you can't change any of that, because you can. Those are all things you can change. Nothing happens immediately, but those are things you can put a plan in place and change. There are things in your life on a minor level that you can change immediately. Where these shoes are so uncomfortable, then get rid of the damn shoes. Right? I don't like my TV. Then get rid of the TV until you can get one that you like. Why sit in misery? Why sit in misery when there's things you can change? Strengthening the mind is one of those things where I feel you have to look at everything in your life that way. You have to bring everything down to a microcosm. You have to bring everything back down to almost its Big Bang, quote unquote, essence, if you believe in that sort of thing. That's just a metaphor. You have to bring it down to a level where it's more relatable for you throughout the day, meaning it's not so big where you feel like it's just completely out of control and there's nothing you can do. You have to bring it back down to a level where it's small enough where you say, I can handle that right now. That portion of this big problem I can take care of right now. Because when you think about it, all those little things like the TV not being the one you want, and the shoes that are hurting your feet, and the car is not what you want, those are material things. That's under the material umbrella. Then you look over to the other umbrella and you can see underneath there's a bunch of people over there that you don't particularly like to deal with, and you don't have to. They're not family members. They're just, some of them are acquaintances. Some of them are the rude person at the gas station that you don't like. The other person is the friend that you used to talk to every once in a while, but they keep popping back up in your life. You really don't like them, but you just keep talking to them because you can't bring up the nerve not to. They have this family member over here that, even though they're a family member, you shouldn't really be talking to them because they're doing stuff that's not so much befitting of your lifestyle, but they're family, so you hang around. No. Those umbrellas have things underneath them, and one by one, you can take things out from underneath the umbrella, and then once everyone's out, you have no need for that umbrella. Take the umbrella and destroy it. That's how I look at things every single day. Now, that umbrella will have things underneath it that are going to take a very long time to get rid of. Some things you can't just get rid of in one little day or one little hour. But you have to do yourself a favor. You have to look underneath that umbrella and say, there are things underneath there that I need to change. It's my choice to change them. But if I'm not going to change them, I need to stop complaining about them and make the best out of what is ever underneath that umbrella if I'm not going to get rid of it. Meaning, if there is something underneath that umbrella, there's a person underneath that umbrella, or there's a thing or a place that is bringing you anxiety, and you're choosing not to get rid of anything underneath that umbrella, then at least make the best out of whatever situations you have underneath there that you just don't want to get rid of. So if you have your job and it's causing you stress, figure out the stress and then do whatever it is you need to do to turn that job into a positive situation. And this is where we transition into turning negatives into positives. And that's under the umbrella of things that you cannot get rid of. There are umbrellas in your life where you can't get rid of stuff underneath it. And that's where I always turn negatives into positives. Turning negatives into positives is how I started my journey on becoming the best version of myself, even though I know the best version of myself is much further away than I would like it to be. It's just a reality. I know the person I want to be. It's going to take a very long time for me to get there. And I like that in a weird way, because I know I'm going to have to go through a lot more struggle to get there. And that can be deemed as weird by other people who are on the outside looking into your life, judging you based on what they think they would do in your situation. So people are always trying to measure themselves against you. And I always look at things quite differently than other people. Whenever I'm in a negative situation, I always think, how can I turn this into a positive? Let's just take one person, for instance. If I'm with someone's in my life, we're not just talking about relationships, like love relationships. We're just talking about people that are in your life in general. If I feel like somebody's bringing me negativity on a consistent basis where they're almost into my routine, goodbye. I don't care if I have to see this person every single day. They're gone. It's like they don't exist to me, because I don't have time on my journey to deal with people who are bringing negativity into my world. Now, some people say, have you tried to help this person? Would you help this person if they come to me? Or do they come to you with help? Of course, I would try to help them. I would give it my best effort. If someone comes to me and says, hey, look, I know I've been a negative influence in your life. You used to talk to me. Now you're not talking to me. What's up? I'll tell them why. But I'm not going to go out of my way to walk up to someone and say, hey, let me explain to you all the reasons why I feel you're a negative person. I have had to do that with certain people. But for the most part, you distancing yourself from these people will be signal enough that something's not right. And it's up to them to figure out if they want to continue a relationship with you, no matter what that relationship is, acquaintance, friend, really good friend, best friend, family member. It doesn't matter. The point of the exercise is that, if you want to call it an exercise, the point of that whole turning a negative into a positive thing is just that. I'm turning this negative person into a positive thing. The positive thing is I don't have to deal with this negative person anymore. That means whatever negative space or bubble I was in with this person no longer exists. That opens up opportunity for positive things to take its place. You can do the same thing with your job, schools. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, if it's negative, you have to think of it as a challenge to turn it into a positive. Use that energy for something good. I've done it with everything, but you have to take it in small doses. Again, it's much easier to turn these negatives into positives if you look at them in small doses. You don't want to jump from A to Z. Maybe you can skip B, C, and D, and you can jump right to E, and then jump to M. Maybe some people can do that. Some people have to hit A, go towards B, get to B, and say, well, I'm not quite ready for B yet. They go back to A, and then you can maybe jump B and go to C. It's your path. It's your journey. That's why it's so important for you to understand you, because no one can tell you exactly how you should feel. It's your life. What motivates you does not motivate other people. We know this. That goes without saying. Everybody on this planet has a different blueprint about what passion is for them and what motivates them, what can get you into positive routines and patterns, and what ultimately can get you to a place of self-discipline and self-love where you don't need to worry about anything else that's going on in your world extensively, where you're just sitting there all the time focusing and stressing out on things that you can and cannot control. You will get to a place where you're thinking, hey, I can handle anything because I've done it before. I'm ready for this. Everything has led up to me being able to go out into this world confidently and know I can overcome anything. I can deal with any person. Nothing's too big. And I'm not going to dig myself holes and jump in them. And when someone else digs a hole and hopes I fall in it, I have enough self-awareness to know there are holes out there I could fall into. So you're protecting yourself. And the only way you can really protect yourself is you have to get out there and understand you're in control of your own life to the point where you don't owe anybody anything. You only owe yourself something. That's different from having purpose. That's different. There's a difference between somebody waking up and saying, I owe my son this, and I owe my mother that, and I owe my job this. You can think that, but those are priorities. That's your purpose. Those are things that you have to get done no matter what. We're talking about all that extracurricular stuff. If you're in your own space and somebody walks up to you and try to interrupt your own space, you don't owe that person anything. If your son or daughter, if they're a kid, walks up to you and says they're hungry, of course you owe them food. We're not talking about that. That's something completely different. I think people get that blurred. They'll take things that are a priority and a purpose, and they'll merge them into things that are not even close to being that. It's not priority urgent. If it's not priority urgent, that's not your purpose. If somebody walks up to you and wants a piece of your life and a piece of your time, you only live once. How much of your life are you going to dish out to other people, especially the people who don't deserve it? They don't owe you anything, and you don't owe them anything. It's not a contract in life to make sure that you're doing all these things and you're going to all these places and you want to acquire all these materials, and then you sit back and you're still unhappy. True happiness is when you can wake up and know you're in control of most things that are going to happen in your day, because let's not be delusional here. There's a lot of things you can't control throughout your day. That's where the self-discipline comes in. You know you're ready for anything. But you want to get to a place eventually where you feel like you can overcome anything and anyone. Excuse me, in any place. Just like I'm trying to overcome this podcast by being sick. I excuse the voice and the nasaliness, if that's a word. But this is a prime example. I could have not done this, but I wanted to do it because it's in the routine, and a podcast had to be recorded. I'm going to record it. And you apply that same thing to life. Just remember who you are. Continue to do the things that are healthy even when you don't feel like doing them. As long as it's positive, do it. I don't care how you feel. I don't care how depressed you are, how much anxiety you have. If it's a healthy thing, try to get up and do that thing. I don't care how depressed I am or how unmotivated I am. Doing this podcast is something positive and healthy, not only for myself, but I know it's helping other people. So being sick is not an excuse not to record one. We're talking less than a half an hour of my time to do this. I could have laid in bed, curled up, fetal position. No, I got up. We're going to continue this routine. It's so important that you don't let those negatives draw you down and just keep on dragging you down. And it just keeps on pushing you down. And then eventually you can't get up. You're so broken down you can't get up. You got to stop some of those negative things and people and places in your life that you can control. You can't control everything, but there's so many things in your day, I guarantee you, that you can cut out that you probably hadn't even thought about. Again, we're bringing everything back down into a microcosm. One little small negative thing at a time. Get rid of it. Identify them. Be true to who you are and identify these things. Do it for yourself. How many negative people do you know right now that you see on a daily basis that if they were gone out of your life, you would be much happier? How many places do you go per week on a consistent basis that if you didn't go to them, you'd be much happier? What are the things that you have, material things that you've acquired that you use every single day that you're not benefiting from, that you could get rid of and you wouldn't even miss it, but you just gotten stuck in a routine, so you feel like that is what you need? How many things could you possibly, just this week alone, in the next 7 days, if you got rid of them, just stopped altogether, how would you feel? And be honest with yourself. Don't make excuses. Don't try to twist the narrative. Don't try to bend the truth. How many things in your life right now, how many places in your life right now, and how many people in your life right now are causing you stress and you're allowing it? That are putting you emotionally and mentally and physically in the negative, into the red, and you're allowing it. Just how many are there for you? Can you do anything about it? And if so, will you do anything about it? And if you will, how do you think you're going to feel once you've gotten rid of negative things out of your life and you're stuck with a bunch of positive things and have so much more time and room to add more positive things that you want to do, places you want to go, people you want in your life that add value to your life? How much do you honestly love yourself? Because that question answers a lot. Because if you're allowing all these negative things, people, places, all these negative things, they're equaling nothing. Unless you can turn that negative motivation into positive motivation that have no value for you at all. They equal up to absolutely nothing. But even in negativity, you still can make that a positive, and that is something. So do something with that negative stuff. Turn it into a positive. Turn it into something you're going to benefit from. If it's in your life, make something of it. And that's how you do it. You turn all those negative people, all those negative places you've been to, and all these things that you've acquired in your life that aren't making you a better person. Do something with it. Turn those negatives into positives. It works. You just have to be brave enough to do it. If no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall.